I have to
Who
pick?
starts? Okay, hi, I'm Bundela. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Am I audible?
Yes.
Hey, so I'm a cosplayer from India, and of course, and yeah, I'm really happy to be here. I'm the current Indian cosplay champion, and I've been cosplaying for 11 years, and it's really exciting to be sharing this wonderful stage with so many amazing people. On to the next person.
Medha, would you like to go next?
Who? Me?
Yes.
Okay, hi, my name is Medha Srivastava, and I'm a professional concept and game artist from Mumbai. And I've been cosplaying professionally since almost now 5 years. And I'm the current fan favorite of Comic-Con India. And yes, it's such an honor to be a part of this event.
Thank you so much. And Rachita, how about you introduce yourself as Vijay Sinha's Dash game designer?
Sorry about the technical glitch over there. Hi guys, I'm Rachita Saha. I am from Super Sugoii, and we've been promoting the Japanese pop culture in India since 2017, if I'm not wrong. And it's a pleasure to be a part of this session today to discuss about cosplay.
Awesome. Thank you. And again, from the Indian side, we also have Dr. Tanya. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I very much insist that you call me Dr. Tanya. I worked very hard for that degree, okay? Even if I'm more famous for being a cosplayer. But yeah, I've been cosplaying for over a decade, and it's been amazing to see this entire hobby evolve in this country right from the very beginning.
Thank you. And we actually have a very special guest today. We have actually an international cosplayer joining us today for this session. So Stephanie, can you please introduce yourself?
Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Perfect. I'm Stephanie. I'm from Alt-F4 Cosplay. I've been competing for about 7 years now, and I am the current Australian champion of cosplay.
Whoa.
Nice. Okay. Wow. I don't know though. The air feels like it's gotten heavier in here. I'm not sure if it's because I closed the windows, but we have a lot of champions in there. Pretty crazy. Okay, guys. So once again, at least on behalf of Animation Express, I would also like to thank you guys for joining me here today. And to show how prepared I am, I have the full list of questions in front of me, so I don't forget. But I also because I like to assume that people might be joining this panel may not understand or know what cosplay is. So I being the expert I am, I just checked Wikipedia for the definition. I'm going to read it real quick. So cosplay, for those who don't know, this not necessarily be for us. Some people like me might need this reminder, but cosplay is basically defined as an activity or performance art in which participants, called cosplayers, wear costumes or fashion accessories to represent a specific characters. Cosplayers often interact to create a subculture, and a broader use of the term cosplay applies to any costume role-playing in venues apart from the stage. So do we all like generally agree with this definition that Wiki has worked so hard to keep up for us with their ad revenue?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
Yeah.
Great. So I'm going to move on to a little bit. So cosplay as a topic itself is not so much the focus for this. The title of the panel is actually The Rise of the Cosplay Industry. And it need not be something specific to just India, and we'll go into reasons why for that later. But the thing I want to ask from each of you guys, especially, and it's a little bit more personal because I generally don't talk to a lot of you guys right now. So I want to know from your perspective, how are you guys doing? And given the current global circumstances, how has cosplay personally changed for you in the past year? Like it's changed quite a bit for me personally because I just simply don't cosplay as much, and it's never been a full-time profession for me as such. But I would like to know from you guys, how has cosplay essentially changed for you? And I would actually like Stephanie to go first for this one.
So for myself, I don't do cosplay full-time. I have a side job that I do part-time that helps support me. So during COVID over here in Melbourne, we actually got completely shut down for a long time. So I was out of work for about 9 months. We were getting government payments, but I no longer had the excess income to further my hobby into a profession and things like that. So I started actually taking on commission work. So I didn't think as many people would want commissions done, which is when somebody asks me to make something and pay me and I make them the prop or the costume item. I didn't think there'd be as many as there was, considering there's no conventions, but there was still a long list of people who just wanted things made for them. So there was a way I could generate income to continue doing my hobby and also survive through the pandemic at the same time, which was really nice considering there were no cosplay jobs, there were no conventions to be paid to go to and things like that. So I found that a really good way to keep progressing my skills, doing my hobby, and earning some extra income on the side, which is really nice.
Okay, great, thank you. Samir, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, hi. So actually, I think for me, like how do you say that, everyone earns from cosplay in a very different way. And my way was mostly, actually, I used to do a lot of competitions, and that was a legit source of income for me. Apart from that, I used to do a lot of guest work for events. I used to go to a lot of events as not just as a guest, but as a judge also, and all that had stopped. And so I actually started focusing a bit more on the social media aspect of it, which I had never done before. Mostly it used to be that my Instagram or Facebook just used to be like a showcase of my work. Like once I'm done with the work, I just used to put there just in case, like so that people know what I'm working on. But since all of that had stopped, it gave me some time to, develop my following and, interact a lot with the cosplayers outside, and also work on different skills that I wanted to work on. So that was the biggest change. I would say that I learned a lot. I wouldn't say that I was able to support myself through cosplay a lot in the past few months, because again, like for me also, cosplay was never my primary source of income. It was what I use as a experimentation ground. I learned things in cosplay and then I use them in my professional work, which is like art direction and making stuff for fabrication and all kind of things. So yeah, so this downtime actually gave me a lot of time to develop my social media presence and also learn a lot of new skills. But otherwise,
no, sorry, I was going to say we'll definitely get back to the social media aspect of it as well. I feel that also has a really interesting aspect to it, which I wanted to do change the question over to Medha. How have things changed for you in the past year? And you've become something of a Reddit queen yourself, right?
Yeah. Well, I think, yes, the internet played such a major role in that. And because I had been cosplaying, my cosplay was only limited to conventions. Lockdown just, I think, made me explore a new side of cosplay, a new part of cosplay, that was makeup. And because we all were so limited with the resources, So, people actually started with this thing of quarantine cosplay. And it was so crazy, like the amount of ideas people came up with limited resources. And yes, because I was stuck with my sister, and she's also a makeup artist, so I was blessed with a lot of good makeup around me. So yes, I think I explored that side of cosplay, and every day I used to come up with different characters, and I used to experiment with different makeup and looks, and with limited resources I think it was more challenging for me, and it kept going for me in cosplay, and I think it was just motivating me to do more.
Okay. Thank you, Medha. So switching the question over to Rachita, talking about events, Rachita, especially around this time last year, where you and I, if things had gone according to plan and no COVID, we would have probably had our Super Sugoii cosplay walk last year. And unfortunately that didn't get to happen. So I think from an event side, I would also like to know how cosplay changed for you in the past year.
Actually, you can look at it from a broader perspective, and that each and every life has changed due to this pandemic, and it has had an impact on almost every possible aspect of how we approach anything that we do in life today. Focusing just on the cosplay genre, every scene has changed right now, and we could say that probably 2021 or 2022 is going to be more of restarting from scratch for almost every aspect of things, because if you're considering a public event today, we have no clue how it's going to be. It's completely unpredictable how it's going to be when people gather together, how it's going to be when people are clustered together celebrating this art form. it obviously had an impact, like, because Manga Planet Cosplay Walk was an event where we all got together. There was no sense of, taking care of yourself pre-COVID, obviously. And now the scenario, the scene, everything has changed. So at Super Sugoii, we want to continue promoting the genre of cosplay in our country, because there's a huge scope of that in comparison to the other countries. And we tried doing a Super Sugoii Con, which was focused on trying to, again, promote one of the genre, which is cosplay online. There are a lot of challenges, like Samir had also said, I think, which is that as a cosplayer, you wish to probably, be a part of physical events a lot more. And in front of a screen, if you think you could do some elaborate cosplay, there are a lot of challenges when you think about that. So COVID had a huge impact to play when you think about the physical aspect of events. And if today you ask me, where do we see ourselves next year or even a month from now, we have no clue. None of us have any clue about what's going on.
We'll definitely get, that's definitely also a very important question that we'll eventually get to this in this panel. But yes, that's also, like, I feel also really important. Like, where do we even go from here?
Exactly.
Going forward. Thank you, Rachita. And then finally, Dr. Tanya, I think your perspective would be a bit closer to my situation of how cosplay is going. Yeah. So I would love to hear from you. How has cosplay changed for you in the past year?
So because I pursue cosplay completely as a hobby, and whatever income I get from it is like very nominal, it barely covers anything. It's more to do with the art. I think what I've noticed in the last year, an entire full year of the pandemic, two things. Either you're from, at least for someone my age who's working, you're either from the medical side, frontline worker, we're like completely burnt out and we have zero time to cosplay. And the ones from the art field have been burnt out on the basis because, like, no creativity, you have an art block. There's no one to inspire you as much. A lot of cosplay energy does come from conventions where you have people appreciate your work, where you get to interact straight up, and like people see your cosplay up close and they go like, oh, how do you do this? How do you do that? Oh, you should do this, you should do that, A lot of that energy comes from interaction, and not having that for a full year has definitely bummed a lot of people out, me included. And I basically focus a lot on my cosplay shoots because I personally like doing photo shoots. Not being able to coordinate, not being able to go out in the open to do that, not been great. Right. But on the other hand, I have also seen people, like Medha mentioned, doing quarantine cosplays, and that is very fascinating. Oh, yes, I love it. I love seeing people put on new makeup. I love seeing budget cosplays. I love seeing closet cosplays. Seeing a rise in that was nice because it's really good for starters. And people who just got into cosplay maybe last year and then suddenly were given no resources whatsoever to pursue this hobby. So for them, I think it was great because it really challenged them, and it gave them a good starting point without the stress of having a deadline, like, oh, I got to finish this before con night. So like not having a deadline, a lot of people were able to do plenty of work in finishing their costumes as well.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. So all very, so for the audience reference, all very different perspectives. We have people who do it cosplay professionally as a full-time. We have people who are doing it as a part-time. We have people who are focusing it more on the social media aspect of it. People are doing it as part of possibly as like an online activity. So there are a lot of different aspects to cosplay that's just not just as a hobby for people like myself, or as Tanya has also explained. So now the focus, I want to permit everyone to go ahead and take a quick water break for themselves, because it's important that everyone should hydrate, and we're going to be in this for the next 30 to 40 minutes right now. But yeah, now I want to sort of get into the meat and potatoes of why I wanted to know a lot of the perspectives that are going on right now from all of you. Because there is definitely a common trend a lot amongst this that I feel like the audience wants to ask as a question so as an open question for everyone, how does one take cosplay as a casual hobby and then turn it into either a full-time career or a profession? And there's a lot of aspects to it, right? It's not just say, for example, in my case, a company might hire you to cosplay as a character, which I've done several times with Super Sugoii, with Rachita's agency. It could be someone may commission you for a prop, have something specifically made. It could be for an event, may require you to cosplay at an event, or have you manage a cosplay event as part of a bigger event. So there's definitely a lot of multiple aspects to it. And I feel like everyone has a really interesting question, an answer to that question. So I want to go ahead and open this question first to Medha. Medha, could you start us off and tell us what do we have to do in order to like take this, a little bit more seriously? What do I have to do if I want to be a full-time cosplayer? I would like to know from you.
Well, at least in my case, of course, it started as a hobby, honestly, I had zero idea what cosplay is. And, I was working as a game artist, and I went with my office peeps, and, we just saw the environment, and it was quite fascinating. And of course, because I'm an artist, so I was obviously very mesmerized. So yes, started with a hobby and then turned into a profession. I think a lot has to do, because I got into a lot of competitions, and I won in several competitions. So, once you have a presence in cosplay, brands approach you. A lot of companies approach you for social media presence, as a judge, as, something as an influencer. So, there are so many ways of taking it professionally. Like, example, I am not a prop maker professionally, but because I'm an artist, so I do a lot of character art. So I think I also explored this side of my art through cosplay, because once I started getting into cosplay, I became more aware about, like how it changed for me from the art perspective, because I was more aware about how the props are made and how, different type of characters. So I think that helped me a lot. And social media, yes, a lot of brands approach you for, like promoting their events, etc. So I think social media has played a very major role in, the professional side of cosplay for me.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Talking about brands and events, Rachita, from your perspective, right? I think we had also like touched upon this previously, like when we were discussing about this panel. So for like the perspective and events, right? I know your agency is not purely into events and whatnot, but if like, let's say for example, Super Sugoii has certain like expectations from a professional cosplayer. Could you touch a little bit about that? Could you talk a little bit about that with us?
Actually, interestingly, whoever we have collaborated with so far, because of the passion they have for the genre and because of the positive mindset that all of these cosplayers have had, we have more or less had a very smooth experience when it comes to them wanting to be professionals. Saying that, there is a huge scope of growth in this entire cosplay genre in the country. When you think about how you can be more of a professional when it comes to collaboration with your brand, because there are certain expectations like punctuality, which we don't really touch upon. When you are expecting a cosplayer to be professional, there are a lot of elements when it comes to, how you can do that. Because see, at the end of the day, passion is what drives this genre. That's what I feel. So there's a huge scope of learning from both the parties. I believe that even the brands need to be aware that cosplay is way different than, just a model, for example. I believe there's a huge scope of learning for a brand to be aware that, you cannot just expect a cosplayer to collaborate with you and, just be at an event as a promotional tool. Cosplayers are like amazing artists, and they have their own requirement. They need to be taken care of. And I believe there's a huge learning for both the parties, a brand and a cosplayer, on how to be more professional about this art form. And only when, things like contracts or things like a professional written document is completely taken care of from both the sides, I believe that there is a lesser scope of being taken advantage of. And there is more of a positive mentality when it comes to I believe in my experience, Super Sugoii is not looked out for like we need only professional cosplayers. You know, we've always wanted to collaborate with people who are good at this art form, not just about, you know, who's good at who's doing this full time or not full time. So all in all, I feel the entire genre has a huge scope to grow in the country. And from both the sides, the brand and the cosplay side, we need to understand that only learning, constant evolvement, and written contracts and things written down way before what the expectations are.
Okay.
And from both the ends, they need to sort of live through it. Like if a cosplayer is expected to be at a particular place at a particular time, there's a huge promotion riding on them. They are like stars.
Right.
And they need to be aware about that, and they need to take on that responsibility. Similarly, a brand needs to be aware that cosplayers are not just, you know, models who are like standing there wearing a costume. There's a huge amount of involvement in that. So yeah.
Well, I think this also, I feel like this question might come up a little bit later when we start talking to like other people about this. So I'm actually going to switch it up. Speaking of things going smoothly, Tanya, from your experience, you know, a lot of the things that Rachita just talked about, I feel like really ties into how we've cosplayed professionally with companies and brands. So from your experience, asking once again, how do you feel like from taking it to a hobby to like a profession, not necessarily full-time, but from your experience, how has that been for you, and what would you tell people to like look out for?
I will say that I personally got very lucky with Rachita because we kind of started cosplay. Yeah, we started cosplaying together back in 2010, man. So there's a bit of history there. So I got lucky in being able to work with her on a professional level, and because we have similar mindsets and our approach to cosplaying professionally is very similar to that. So it was a smooth sailing for both of us. But in terms of the other people and other cosplayers that I've had to work professionally with, yes, it's very new, it's very niche. People don't really know how to be professional in cosplay, or the professional aspects expected of you. And I think it's important for the company to lay that down, okay? Because a lot of people who cosplay professionally are doing it for the first time. A lot of companies hiring cosplayers, at least in India, are hiring cosplayers for the first time. So that communication is important. It's very important for the brand to also tell you what they expect out of you, the exact time that they want you to be there, the kind of social media involvement they want. Like I had to be told, I'm very bad with my social media. I had to be told, no, you need to make 2 posts a day. You need to make 1 story shout out a day. You know, all of these have to be specific. I will not do this on my own time because I am not aware of what the company wants. Okay, when I personally come on board as a cosplayer or as a mascot, I will do what I've always been doing. If you want more, please specify, and I will be able to deliver it.
Right.
Vijay, I just wanted to add a small additional point on it. Because it's a budding industry in India yet, there are multiple cosplayers who get taken advantage of. And I have personally, we've had a bad experience. Super Sugoii has had a bad experience that there was a very prominent hotel chain that was using the name Super Sugoii and trying to hire cosplayers.
I heard about this, yeah.
Especially when you're a woman cosplayer in the country. There are obviously a lot of sexism involved in this art form that, you know, if we touch into it, the meeting is going to go into some other direction. But my point remains that each and every individual needs to be very, very alert about how what to do, what do they expect. They need to be careful. They need to understand the fact that they should not be taken advantage of. They should keep connecting with the fraternity. There are multiple professional cosplayers out there, as you guys yourselves. These people should realize that just because somebody is using a brand name, or just because somebody is saying we will pay you XYZ money, you know, what are the clause? What are the disadvantages of doing that?
Talking about brand name, right? Because a lot of us don't even realize sometimes, like, our names are basically the brand, right? Vijay Sinha Cosplay, Syrinx Cosplay, All Deaf 4 Cosplay. Like, these are essentially like treated as brands as well, but sometimes I don't think even we realize it. Samir, a lot of the stuff that what Medha and Rachita and Tanya have said, right, there's definitely seems to be a slight pattern into like understanding, of trying to taking a hobby into a profession. What is I understand like it's been difficult for you in the past year and whatever has been going on, but what has your experience been so far with at least the people you've been able to work with professionally?
I personally think that, when you say professional cosplayer, it's a very, compared to other fields where, to be a professional, there's a lot of prerequisites. Okay.
Yeah.
But the bar of entry for being a professional in cosplay is actually really low, because now it is wide open. Like earlier on, for me personally, like when I had to become professional, I had to constantly work on my skill. And after being noticed in a lot of competitions and by a lot of events, that's when I can say that, people started approaching me for like being a guest, or for like Rachita said, like being a mascot for their product or whatever. But right now, I think it's very open. Like it could be your first day of cosplay and you could be a professional cosplayer, because there's so many types of different services that cosplayers are providing now. I mean, there might be a lot of like talk about it, but even cosplay models are cosplayers. Cosplay models are cosplayers. The people who are crafters are cosplayer. People who make video tutorials are cosplayer. A lot of people like who migrated from art to cosplay, like Medha, like she said,
right,
that she used to be an illustrator, and like when she entered into cosplay, she started making designs. So I can give a good example of Jack Fisher art. Can he be considered a person who is like, a professional cosplayer? Although he doesn't make cosplay for himself, he does a lot of design for a lot of cosplayers, right? So there's so many different services that are being provided by cosplayers in social media, out of social media, in events, as a brand partner, that I think it's very wide open and anyone can enter. The only prerequisite I would say is, first of all, is quality. I mean, even if you're someone who doesn't make your cosplay and buy a cosplay, you need to do a good level photo shoot. That also takes a lot of effort and research. If you're a crafter, then your work needs to be really impeccable. If you're someone who makes tutorials and like on YouTube or something like that, then again, your video quality should be good. That and professionalism, like Rachita and Tanya were talking about earlier. That, if you want to be someone that brands approach you and that events call you, you need to be able to justify the cost that you're giving and be professional about it. And like the regular things about being a professional person, like so I think it's wide open right now. There are a lot of ways people can make money through cosplay, and I'm really happy that this didn't used to be the case in India. I would say it's like 5 years back, but since past 2-3 years, since a lot of gaming events have started happening, like even in gaming companies are stepping up and creating games which could in the future hire cosplayers for their events. So yeah, it's getting better and better, and it's easiest time to be a professional cosplayer right now.
So a lot of the perspectives that you've heard now, a lot of it is mostly just from the Indian cosplay side of things, but now we get to Stephanie. And I just want to I want to pop this what's this phrase? Pop this lid open, pop this popsicle lid, whatever. Anyway, the point is, so for someone like Stephanie who has no context to like how cosplay works in India, right? Especially like cosplay for us could be as old as 10 years at this point. Stephanie, a lot of things what we said about getting into cosplay and the things that we want to look out for, especially in terms of like companies and brands. Can you identify with like a lot of these things, or do you feel like there's a stark contrast to how you manage cosplay as a side profession?
It's very similar. I found from the beginning, I always maintained a very brand friendly image, I call it. So brands would want to work with me because I look very brand friendly. I also believe, as Simi said, you have to have the quality, you have to be worth what the marketing team is willing to spend on you. But at the same time, I also found there was a little bit of luck involved. So I had a smaller following when I saw the first post from Blizzard looking for Diablo cosplayers, and I put forward my Crusader that I had, and it was just, I think, a right place, right time, right costume kind of thing. And then, as the others also said, that first job I had with Blizzard at PAX, because we have our own PAX over in Australia, I was punctual, I was professional. I remade my entire costume for the weekend because I wanted to make that lasting good impression with that company. Because when you get approached by a company like Blizzard, there's a very good chance it's not going to be a one-off job. Like, so over the weekend of PAX, I made the best impression that I could. I was always punctual. I was always on. And from there, they came back to me, which kind of propelled it. So that alongside with winning as many competitions as I have here, once you get a following, once people know who you are, conventions then can use you as a marketing tool to sell tickets, because people want to meet you, people want to be judged by you, people want to be involved in a panel you're doing. So then that also gets me work with conventions as well as work with companies. And then once you have a following, other companies will hire you to make content for specific cosplay tools, things like that, because you already have the following of cosplayers to advertise to. So it's unfortunately there is a little bit of luck, because there is so many cosplayers. Like, it's a very big culture now. It's nowhere near as small as it used to be. So you need to find a way to stand out. And sometimes that's just luck, to be in the right place at the right time with the right costume, for the algorithm to bless you and to gain a following that you can sell almost.
Right.
I don't want to sound like selling out, but a company will always go for someone with a larger following at least over here, because it's advertising. That's all it is.
So I had a follow-up question to this, right? So how you got into cosplay, I think, is also like very interesting, as in like the whole Blizzard aspect and them having events and you getting an opportunity to work there. But now considering like how things have like completely changed in the past year, right? So my follow-up question to that is, now without the presence of physical events, right? And we don't know, because I believe PAX has also pushed some of their dates for their events. Australia, I'm not sure at the moment. But how have you been able to continue cosplayer crafting as a means of like sustaining yourself, not just financially, but also creatively? Like, I understand also like you treat it as a side profession, so you have something else to sustain you financially. But what about the creative aspect of it?
I'm not going to lie, and that it's been easy, because as all artists know, you get burnt out. And we're so used to working so hard all the time. And this is a very hard hobby. You have to have 9 different hobbies to pull off this one hobby, because it's just so many different elements. So you get burnt out really fast. You know, you lose a lot of inspiration. It starts to feel like a battle on social media for who can do it better and faster and bigger. And I think a lot of people are starting to reflect on that and go back to why they started cosplaying and what was the reason they began doing it, and actually just enjoying it again. So it's been nice to slow down after, because the first few months I went really ham and I just build and build and build, and I got so burnt out and so worn down. So I took a little break and then did some commissions, and I'm like, well, it's been a nice break from making a costume. And now I've remembered why I've done it. You know, I've kind of slowed down and learned to enjoy it again, as opposed to how many costumes can I get out before the next convention kind of thing. So it's been a nice break. We are meant to have a convention next month.
I see. Okay.
Because we've because of all of our lockdowns, we've got 0 cases of transmission. So our numbers look good enough to have a con, but no one's like banking on that. No one's like for sure ready for a convention. We still don't really know.
To all of us from India, what you're doing basically right now, I would like to call a flex. So congrats to that, for sure.
It's been an experience. It's been hard, obviously, mentally, to be locked inside your house, but we had that light at the end of the tunnel that got us through it, which was really nice.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie. So all very like really interesting perspectives you guys have given. Just a reminder, we have about 4 minutes left of the session, but I want to try and squeeze in one question in before we try to like end the session at this time. Medha, I actually wanted to ask you as well. Do you feel more comfortable taking up creative work that better uses your crafting skills rather than just cosplaying yourself? Because I know like you talked about also being because you've started off as an artist as well. And I've seen you like take commissions from people. You're a couple of characters, for example, I feel is a good example. So do you feel like that aspect of has been able to like sustain what you want to do in terms of cosplay, again, both creatively and financially?
Well, I think, to be honest, I love doing both. It's not like I just like doing, the pre-production side of it. I love cosplaying as well. So, and, to be honest, like my parents, for example, they've always been very supportive, but they always have they're always a little skeptical, they like Indian parents, they're like, what is the future, and are you gonna get paid for this, and stuff like that. So this is what I keep telling them, that cosplay is it's so vast. And at least with me, I through cosplay I got to do things which I never even imagined, I never even bothered doing, like prop making. I was never into crafting, I was always into sketching. So yes, because cosplay opened so many different doors for me, in terms of crafting, in terms of makeup, in terms of even social media presence. I started doing a lot of social media activities, live events, interaction because of cosplay. So yes, I mean, I think I'm gonna balance both. It's I feel that I really personally I love doing cosplay, and at the same time I'm also very inquisitive about learning so many different aspects of cosplay and prop making and stuff like that. Also the pre-production side of it, like Samir mentioned, like Jack Fisher art. There are so many different artists who are exploring the sketching, the character building side of cosplay. And this is what even I personally want to do. I personally want to make my own characters and then cosplay, because then I think that is going to brush up both my skills, from ideation to art to putting it on like a costume. So yes, I think I see myself balancing both. I hope I'm able to do that in future.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Medha. So we have actually 2 minutes left. So I'll go ahead and I'll try to see how many people can answer this question before we sign off. So I wanted to basically ask you guys to give your closing thoughts on what the future of cosplay is going forward. And I'm actually combining a question I didn't use earlier, and I'm going to ask this question actually to Samir, because I know you've been taking part in online cosplays competitions, for example. So what is your opinion on going forward? What do you feel like, how do you feel things will change now going forward? Do you see yourself cosplaying more in online competitions? Do you feel that that's something viable for people at least at this point?
I think for India, online cosplay competitions have definitely a boon, because compared to other countries, we don't really get that many platforms, to showcase our work. And especially because the expenses that are required to do a really large scale cosplay are also very high. For me, making a cosplay takes a lot of money. I spend close to 40,000-50,000 on a cosplay that I am entering in a competition, and even the prize doesn't really compensate the money back to me. So just saving up on travel and doing the showcase and everything from the comfort of my home has allows me to make even more crazier build. So I think I hope that in the future this becomes a norm. I definitely want more offline events to do continue doing cosplay competitions, but I hope more and more companies identify that online, because see, at the end of the day, not a lot of people are going to see the competition at the event. At the end of the day, whatever the competition is happening, it's being done to promote, if say Blizzard is doing a cosplay competition, right, it is doing to promote their their event, their games, and then the people that should become more aware of these things. Right. So if they do it online, I think it works better for their for their brand also, and also when more and more people from the whole world can take part in that cosplay competition, it's definitely going to be helpful for both the cosplayers and the company. So I hope that this thing becomes a trend in the future.
In fact, we have the UCC coming. The Ultimate Cosplay Championship coming up as well. Organized by these guys, Papa Cosplay, and I think that's definitely I feel like it's a great opportunity.
I actually, so in January, I actually won with my Aries in an online cosplay competition first night, and I definitely, in general, I would never get a chance to take a part in competition like that unless I go through the city cons and then take part in ICC and then reach C2E2, where the level of competition is just it shatters me all type for. People like these, they come in those competitions, and we don't even have a hope of winning there. But more and more online competitions we have, then we have a chance of winning. So I'm definitely all for it.
Stephanie, do you do that sometimes, where if you people are a bit too bummed with things are going on, do you just kind of come up to them and be like, well, you just got Alt F4? Okay. Good. Okay, I'll come back to you in a second, Stephanie. So so we've touched a lot about the professional aspect of it, and we touched a bit about the social media aspect of cosplay and how we've like kind of been getting into that mindset and promoting ourselves. But what I wanted to ask is something related to the community aspect of it. And it just so happens we have one of the key admins for Indian cosplay community, which again is Dr. Tanya. So Tanya, I wanted to ask you, how has the Indian cosplay community adjusted, in the past year due to the lack of physical events? And are Indian cosplayers actually more active than ever thanks to social media? So I wanted your perspective on this.
So like Medha touched up on the fact that there were so many aspects to cosplay. And once you are a cosplayer, you just learn so many different things. Like you learn painting. I am from the medical side. I don't have any single creative bone in me until I started cosplaying. I learned makeup specifically for cosplay. I don't do that in real life. And considering how many people have like learned to do different things, as cosplayers, we're very good at jugaad. I'm sorry, Stephanie, if you don't know what the word jugaad means, it's a very low budget adapting.
Okay.
Literally that. Low budget
Samir, how have you not taught jugaad to Stephanie yet, dude?
I've been slowly teaching her as much as I can. I definitely do.
Sorry, Tanya, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically we're just very good at adapting, and I'm quite sure that cosplayers in India are very good at learning how to do new things and finding new aspects of cosplay. It's been really nice in the last year to see newer cosplays, younger cosplays, more students, not working hobos like me, having the time and energy to, advance their craft. It's nice to see that. They're like, yeah, when I first started cosplaying and I like look at my work and then I look at others, their first cosplay, I'm going like, it took me 5 years to get there, but okay, good for you.
Hey, listen, for one hobo to another, Tanya, I feel like we've sort of paved the way for these people to catch up to us, if you want to put it that way.
I kind of try to remind myself, like, yeah, we walked so that they could run, but I am very, very happy to see them grow this way. And I'm very happy that the ICC in general is so supportive of everyone's growth. Like, I don't see people saying, even with first-time cosplayers and the kind of negativity that you might see on Instagram where people go like, oh, this is not good enough, or that's not good enough. ICC in general has been very supportive, and, we're very good with pushing younger ones to improve, even without competitions, even without any sort of hope for a career, but like just to advance it as a hobby, to be advancing your skills just for the sake of art. It's been really good. And it's been nice to see that growth in the younger ones as well.
Absolutely. So we're kind of out of time, but we do have one quick question. So I actually want to ask this question to Stephanie, because I think her response will be really interesting for this. So one person asks, what kind of reactions do you get while cosplaying at various conventions? Do you face any hostility? I know everyone in India is going to answer this question in a very similar way, so I'm not going to bother, but I would like Stephanie to generally get her word in on this.
I find the cosplay scene in Australia, or at least the one that I'm involved in, is nothing but positive. When I go to cons, I have the best time. Like, I'm miserable that there's no cons because I love going to cons. The energy is great. People are so nice. Like, I feel like we get respected really well at conventions here, which is nice because I think they know that a lot of the ticket sales are obviously because of cosplay to a lot of the conventions here.
Say it louder in the back, please.
So I love it. I feel like I'm always really welcomed at conventions, and there's not really any hostility. I miss competitions because it feels like a team when you're backstage at like, it was the same at C2 World Champs. Like, we were all friends with each other. We were all helping each other. There was like, it was a competition, nice. But it didn't feel like there was competition because we were just friends. Like, it's always really nice for me. I've been blessed by being involved in a really good community.
Yeah, okay, I think I can definitely attest to that. I mean, that's something that I like, as Stephanie said, like outside India in the conventions, like the kind of respect that cosplayers have is something that I would really want to see in India, and the kind of brotherhood and the kind of harmony that people have. Like she said, like backstage she was helping me, like everyone was helping each other at the convention, and it was just a bliss, and that makes the whole experience much more enjoyable. And that's something that we'd definitely like to see here.
Rachita, do you agree? Do you want to add any words to that?
I really believe that positivity is the best way for everything. You should just be patient, calm, positive. Do not think people are attacking you. Just chill, just relax, enjoy the art form, have fun. That's it.
Unless they're really attacking you, then maybe
it's a problem.
That has also happened. By the way, in India.
Oh my God.
Having fun, celebrating this art. Just enjoy yourself, and really you will develop and grow this community together. That's what I feel.
Okay. All right. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. So I actually think we're a little bit over time.